90 today. It's 89 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Whole Tree Care. Your trees and shrubs are growing like crazy. Are they blocking your view or posing a potential hazard? Call Whole Tree Care. They trim, shape, and remove trees. Call 435-760-6587.
As the summer's war against weeds and pests rages on, a new bug threat starts hopping around, destroying garden plants and flowers. Luckily, you are ready for them with Logan Extermination's Perimeter Grasshopper Control. It's like a minefield for the minute menace.
Good job, men. Another bug bites the dirt. Let's regroup before the next wave hits.
They do what they are trained to do. Strike terror into termites, bash the bed bugs, and cook the cockroaches. Remember the brave men and women at Logan Extermination. Call 752-8450.
Treatment areas vary. Call for a quote today.
KBNU News Time is 5:05. The city of Harriman wants to raise property taxes to fund law enforcement services. According to the city's website, it is proposing an increase of up to 15% for its Harriman City Safety Enforcement Area. On the city's website, it states that the three main reasons for the proposed tax increase are growth, the salary market, and inflation. According to the city, property owners in Harriman will start getting mailed or emailed notices of the proposed rate increase during July to solicit feedback. A final meeting and truth and taxation hearing will be held August 22nd at 6 p.m. at the Harriman City Hall for the proposed increase. The city states that it will also make a decision that day. The city's website states that for the average property owner, a 15% increase would equate to about $64 per year. To weigh in on the proposed property tax increase, residents were asked to go to Harriman City's website. And Wyoming's largest advocacy group for people 50 and older is mobilizing its 80,000 members to let the state's Public Service Commission know what they think about Rocky Mountain Power's proposal to raise utility rates. Sam Shumway with AARP Wyoming says with the cost of everything from gas, groceries, and haircuts going up, a 21% increase could be devastating for households whose budgets are already stretched thin.
Many of our members are on a fixed income. They're going to have to decide, do I pay for this medication? How do I absorb a $17 or a $25 or a $30 rate increase?
Shumway says members have been signing up to receive the latest information on Rocky Mountain Power's proposal by texting the word JOIN to 2277. Shumway says texting can be a powerful tool for increasing public engagement.
They will then be getting updates about this Rocky Mountain Power case and other important issues. And texts are nice because then you can just click on a link to sign a petition or click through to the Public Service Commission. And so we're really trying to use texting to keep people informed.
If commissioners approve Rocky Mountain Power's request, the utility is expected to bring in an additional $140 million per year from ratepayers. Shumway says it's important for people who don't want to see Wyoming's most vulnerable residents face higher utility bills to speak up. KBNU News Time is 5:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Are you caring for an aging loved one and feeling overwhelmed? I invite you to consider how the supportive community at Legacy House of Logan can help. Their caretakers are so good at helping your loved one with the little things, like dressing, bathing, and managing medications. But Legacy House of Logan is more than just practical support. It's a social community where your loved one can make new friends. Come meet some of the people and tour the facility on 1400 North in Logan and online at legacylogan.com.
Seriously, my dealership just fixed the transmission.
We all know how it can be to go to the wrong place for transmission repair. Made up of over 800 pieces, the transmission is the most complex part of your car. So bring it to the transmission experts at AMCO. AMCO, always the right fix. AA MCO.
Save $350 off a transmission rebuild. AMCO Transmission, 75 East, 2000 North. Make sure you stop in today and see owner Kurt Zollinger and his team. Restrictions, limitations, and exclusions may apply.
When some loud bragger tries to put me down and says this school is great, I tell him right away, now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard of my school?
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, Hour 2 of today's show. And it is time for this month's look into the world of Logan City School District. Our good friend, Superintendent of the district, Frank Schofield, here in the studio. And Frank brought a friend with him this week as well. Well, I shouldn't presume. A colleague, someone he
we get
met,
along.
someone you have to talk to each other at work.
He tolerates me.
Longhurst. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. How about this? You introduce yourself so that I'm not laughing while I say your name. Tell everybody who you are and what you do, and thank you both, by the way, for your time.
We appreciate you having us here. My name is Shana Longhurst. I am the Director of Communications and Public Relations for the Logan City School District. And within that, that work, I am also the Executive Director for the Foundation, which is the charitable arm of the Logan City School District.
That is a very successful foundation, too, we should note. We can talk about that in greater detail if you want. We can talk about any of this in great detail if you want, but I'll just make a note of that. The Logan Schools Foundation has been, I think, a model for a long time of how to do this, how to do what a schools foundation does. It's very impressive. Is there a key to that you've discovered, or is it the community?
Thank you for those kind words. We do live in a very generous community. The citizens of Logan have always been supportive of the school district, and this is an avenue to help with that support. The foundation was established in the 1980s, way back.
Long time ago.
And has evolved from just being it was established by stellar community members, Lee Hales, Stephen Jewell, Ann Geary. Many of those people were involved in the creation of the foundation, and it has evolved from just it originally started wanted schools to obtain some technology, and it has evolved, and we have many programs that stem from helping teachers get grants, students get scholarships, help students with eyeglasses that are in need. We help facilitate donations to all of our schools. So it's grown, and we appreciate the support of the school district so that we can facilitate those donations from our very generous community.
That is, I assume the need moves and evolves and changes over the years since the 80s, but is there right now, can you point to where the greatest need is? And does that also, for you, Frank, too, does that also kind of help you as a district plan ahead and consider the future? Because growth is, we're talking about growth in the perspective of housing and traffic and water, and this is another part of it, though. Like, our schools are growing, and we're going to have to grapple with that somehow.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll just share two things that come to mind that we've talked quite a bit about over the last year with our foundation board, and Shana can fill in the details. But as we've had growth in our student population, and as we see the needs of that student population change, two big things that the foundation has supported is, one, the creation of additional scholarships.
Yeah.
Our big fundraiser is our golf tournament every year. And there is consistently a significant amount of money that the foundation board chooses to put towards scholarships for students who need help going to college. And we have not only a growing number of students who are first-generation college students, but as the costs of education continue to rise and as family finances are what they are sometimes, we have a large number of students who benefit from those scholarships and use them to either pay for their first couple semesters at Utah State, pay for their first, in some cases, get through an entire course of training at BTech, so they can then move forward and either pursue their education more, or they can get out and get good paying jobs and start their career. So the foundation board has been extremely consistent in their support of, let's get these students the resources and the financial support they need to get into college, get into BTech, and get moving with their support with their education.
That's
another big piece that was really exciting this year was our Family Resource Center. And the foundation did play a role in that. We took a piece of property that we have. It's a small home that's over by Wilson Elementary down on the island. And we turned it into a resource center for families who are either suffering from homelessness, maybe without jobs, et cetera. We have staff members who are there to help tie them in with community resources. So we do have we have a partnership with the Cache Valley Food Pantry, where if they need food, we have vouchers. We can send them to the food pantry. We do have, through very generous community donations, backpacks with school supplies. We have donated clothing, shoes, warm coats for the winter. And families can they have to set an appointment, but they can bring their children to that location. They can work with our staff member, and they will basically do an intake interview with them and find out what their needs are. They can help get them clothes. They can set them up with the food pantry. They can get them tied into Bragg. They can help them with accessing employment services. They have a space for them to do homework. They have computers there where they can sit down with a parent who isn't maybe familiar with how to access their child's academic information online.
Sure.
And not only show them how to do it, but then sit there next to them and say, so let's see how your child's doing in their classes. And here's how you email your child's teacher. So families who want to be involved in their child's education, they've just, they've had some obstacles come up. And this is a support resource that the foundation board has been very supportive of. So I think those two, tying to your questions about growth in the population and changes in the population, we've seen a growing need in those areas, and our foundation has really run with the ball in addressing those needs, which has been fun to see.
And Frank, you and I have discussed before when you've been in that, and Shana, I'm sure you have a lot of stories along these lines too, but sometimes that's all it takes, right? It's a little, we have a tendency to think of help as something, in some situations it may be, but something long-term, something that comes at great expense and requires great resources to address. But a lot of times these families just need a little boost or a temporary shoulder to lean on, and then they can get back to, whether it's a student, they can get back to their education, or whether it's the parents, they can get back to being involved in their kids' education. And connecting to those resources is key. We learned this with the Veterans Resource Center. They did research and found that most veterans in Cache Valley who were slipping through the cracks were slipping through not because there wasn't something that would have helped them. It was because they didn't know. Exactly. And that's what this resource center is about, right? That's the idea behind it, if I understand correctly.
That's very true. And there's always just opportunities for us to work with the community to just give that little bit of extra help, whether it be those families or students, as the superintendent spoke to those scholarships for students who want to take their next steps after they graduate from Logan High School.
That's very cool.
As we give out those scholarships, we do it, we go over to Logan High, we pull them from class for a moment, and we surprise them after they've applied.
This is the day of the year where everyone in the district wants Shana's job.
That is very cool.
We go over there, we surprise them,
fun.
We make those announcements, and it is so rewarding to, as they're leaving that little area where we announce the scholarships, it's very intimate, the phone calls that go home and say, Mom, guess what I got? And it's just giving them that little extra step, and the letters that we receive back are heartwarming and remind us that as a foundation and foundation board that differences are being made.
I can imagine. So, confession, I struggled my first year of college because I tested well in high school. This is what I figured out over the years. So I got to college, I'm like, I'm going to be a breeze. No, you have to be responsible and take notes and things like that. So I struggled, and I thought back. What got me through that first year is I did really well on AP tests, and I got some recognition from that as a senior that I didn't expect. That literally is what kept me from quitting in that first year of college. I would think back on that and think how proud I was of myself. And so imagine the recognition of getting a scholarship, even if it's just, hey, we'll take some of the financial burden off for that first semester or something like that. Just the recognition alone, it has a value too, right?
Well, sometimes that recognition is all that they need to take that first step. So they become hungry for that additional education. And had they not received some of that funding, they might not have taken that first step. So
that is very cool.
And our foundation, to build on that, they recognize that reinforcement, that acknowledgement can come in for a number of different reasons. For example, our foundation will give small scholarships to students who have had the greatest increase in their GPA from freshman to senior year.
Oh, okay.
So this is not going to be a 4.0 student.
Sure.
But this is a student who from 9th grade to 12th grade has made some changes in their approach to school, made some changes in their behavior.
Very cool.
And as a consequence, they're achieving some really significant things. And our foundation says, you know what, that decision and that effort should be recognized. They'll recognize students who have turned their attendance around. Maybe, first semester attendance was not great. They were struggling with some of those behaviors, but they turn it around. And we all know, as adults, changing behavior is not easy.
Sure.
And it's not any easier for a 15-year-old. So they recognize, you know what? This person has made some major effort to change things in their lives and put themselves on a better track. Let's provide just a little bit of a boost to keep that going and see what we can do to help them move forward.
This is a creative approach to all of this. And again, this is all done through a foundation which relies on community support, businesses, individuals, the occasional, I assume, where possible, grant from the state or something like that. But this is a volunteer-driven effort for the most part, right?
Yes, as Director of Communications, I'm an employee of the district.
Sure.
The rest of our board is all volunteer.
So when you're not writing those apology emails for Frank, then you can step into the. I can't believe he said that.
We give her a couple minutes a month to do this part of the job.
That's Janine has to do the same thing at the county for David Zook, so you're not alone. This is listeners. Check this out. LoganSchoolsFoundation.org is their website, and our guests in the studio again this hour for our spotlight on the Logan City School District. We have Superintendent Frank Schofield and Director of Communications and Public Relations at Logan School District, Shana Longhurst as well. If you have a question or comment, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
Oh, we live in a great area. Are you just back from a camping trip? Don't take your sleeping bags to the dry cleaner. Come to Mount Logan Laundry. For just a few quarters, our 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers will have those bags clean for your next trip. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in Utah.
This message presented by the Utah High School Activities Association and the Utah Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Here in the studio with us during our monthly spotlight on Logan City School District, we have Superintendent Frank Schofield and Director of, do you have a preference? Director of Communications Director.
You can just call me Shana.
Shana, okay. Shana Longhurst here in the studio as well. It's fascinating to talk about this. You've probably heard of it. If not, check it out at their website, and they're also on social media. LoganSchoolsFoundation.org is the website. We're talking about the impact. Shannon also serves as executive director of that foundation, and we're talking about the impact that foundation has had, what it's all about, from scholarships for kids who have shown the most improvement between, say, their sophomore year and their senior year, something that maybe gets them through, takes some of the financial burden off that first year or even first semester, to encourage them to go and to stick to it as far as college or technical education goes after high school. Also, just the recognition on the students. You mentioned that there's also some love for teachers in this program to encourage them as well. And that's the goal of the foundation. It's an amazing design. And I wish that every district would employ something that works as well as the Logan Foundation has. And Frank, you mentioned that there's a success story from this that's close to you.
Yeah, and this is just, prior to the break, we were talking about kind of in generalities. We have scholarships for this, scholarships for that. But one of my favorite stories is one of the scholarships the foundation offers is a teacher-nominated scholarship, where a teacher at the high school, or any teacher at the high school, can nominate a student based on their unique accomplishments, unique situations. And about 6-7 years ago, we had a young lady, first-generation immigrant, I believe from Malaysia, who was nominated by one of her teachers for a scholarship at Utah State. She received that through the foundation, enrolled up at Utah State, graduated with a degree in early childhood education.
Wow.
Is
no
currently,
easy thing to do, right?
No. So as an English learner, new to the United States, went through that program, earned her degree, is currently decided she wanted to work for a couple years in Malaysia, kind of giving back to the community where she was born.
Sure.
But then her plan is she wants to come back to Cache Valley and teach, in Logan again and work in the community that she went to school in. So all of that is, of course, a combination of all of these things. You got a student who, with family support, works hard,
sure,
to overcome challenges. You got a teacher who recognizes that student's strengths and works to support them and encourage the development of those strengths. And then you have a foundation that says, okay, how can we provide support and help this student take the next steps in their success? So you bring all that together, and you see some great things happening.
That is, this is amazing, and to consider that being done all through a nonprofit foundation, to put it in this perspective, to achieve the same effect on one student that the state tries to do with millions of dollars of tax breaks, of incentives, of offering to pay off student loans and more to address a teacher shortage in the state. The Logan Schools Foundation is inspiring kids to want to come back here and teach. That is really cool. That's and welcome too, right? All the more teachers, the merrier.
Well, and we love having people who are from the community.
Sure.
One of the realities of a college town is you do get a lot of turnover because people will come and they work in the schools for a while, and then their spouse gets a job someplace else, because you do hire a lot of people who are from outside of the valley.
Sure.
When they graduate. But what we've seen is when you have people who grow up in the valley, have connections to the community, and they come to work in your schools, you tend to keep them a little bit longer. That continuity, that longevity, contributes to positive culture in the school and connections with the broader community, and has a real positive impact on kids.
Sure.
And the benefit of an educational foundation for each school district is you can address the needs of the students within your school district. And I feel like we've done a really good job of saying, this is what the needs are of our students. And other districts may have different needs, and that's where they attend their focus.
Sure.
But we're very grateful to have a board that oversees that and knows our community, and we work really closely with district administration to tandem those needs and desires to help the students in the Logan City School District.
That is, this is all, of course, easier said than done, I would assume, to make this effective. And again, to have the reputation that the Logan Schools Foundation has requires dotting every I, crossing every T. But that allows, for listeners, I'll just run through this quickly as we head to the news. At loganschoolsfoundation.org, you can click on programs and see what they do. And the list is long. Art endowment grants, basic need assistance, classroom mini grants. I love that idea. Community grants for teachers and more. There's, of course, the Logan High Football Endowment, and then this Payroll Partners program is also very creative as a way to connect people, both as donors to specific classrooms in the program, but also to give them some ownership of that, to sort of make them feel like they're subscribing to a service of sorts. It's all very creatively done. And we've got more time to talk about this. If you have a question or a comment about the Logan Schools Foundation or Logan School District at large, you're welcome to join us. 753-5868. Superintendent Frank Schofield and Director of Communications at Logan Schools, also the Executive Director of the Logan Schools Foundation, Shana Longhurst, our guests here in the studio. And we'll be back right after this quick look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:30, and the news is brought to you by Roof Rescue. Law enforcement is asking for the public's help locating a Cache County jail inmate who fled from a work release program. Austin Jeffrey Giles was last seen by deputies Tuesday morning and failed to return to jail Tuesday night. According to the Cache County Sheriff's Office, Giles is described as being 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs about 180 pounds. The 22-year-old has brown hair and blue eyes with tattoos on the right side of his neck. Giles has multiple convictions for theft and weapons offenses. Logan City police officers arrested Giles in August 2022 after he broke into a woman's vehicle and stole her purse. He then used the victim's credit card to make $2,600 some in fraudulent purchases. In November 2022, Giles was sentenced to serve 94 days in jail, followed by 36 months probation after pleading guilty to felonies of unlawful use of a financial card, possession of a firearm by a restricted individual, possession of a controlled substance, forgery, and mail theft. Police arrested Giles June 2nd after he violated the terms of his probation. He was sentenced to an additional 60 days in jail and given the opportunity for work release. The sheriff's office is asking residents to be on the lookout for Giles. If anyone is aware of his location, please call 435-755-1224. Reference case 23-C6565. A 6-year-old girl was critically injured after police said she fell from a lawnmower and was struck by one of the blades in northern Utah. Officers responded to the scene at the north end of Pleasant View at about 9:30 Tuesday morning after a report of a traumatic injury. They said the girl had been riding a lawnmower with her father when she fell off and was struck in the left leg by one of the blades. She was quickly transported to Ogden Regional Medical Center with very serious injuries. Officials said the girl was last known to be in critical but stable condition. They said what happened was a tragic accident and there was nothing about it that appeared suspicious. KVNU News Time is 5:32.
This is David from Roof Rescue. This past winter in Cache Valley was the worst in recent memory, reminding us of the sheer power of Mother Nature. Snow, ice dams, and record low temperatures left behind a trail of leaks, broken gutters, and damaged roofs. Let's get those issues inspected and addressed so that when next winter comes around, you can focus your attention on your family, the holidays, and winter activities instead of leaks, drips, and ice dams. Call today for your complimentary inspection at 435-999-4268 or visit us at roofrescueusa.com. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
At the NATO summit, President Biden promising Ukraine will eventually be welcomed into NATO, telling President Zelensky,
"We will not waver. We will not waver." I mean that. Our commitment to Ukraine will not weaken. We will stand for liberty and freedom today, tomorrow, and for as long as it takes.
In Washington, the Secret Service urgently looking for a driver involved in a deadly hit-and-run accident near the National Mall. 2 people hit, 1 dead, the other in critical condition. The extreme heat baking much of the southern half of the U.S. is spreading to more of California, where temperatures will be above 105 degrees in many areas this weekend. And more rain could be headed to Vermont after record rain sent rivers over their banks, flooding the state capital and bringing widespread destruction. New government data showing inflation cooled significantly in June. That 3% from the previous June is the lowest since March of 2021. Dave Packer, ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, low in the mid-50s, sunny, lower 90s on Thursday, mostly sunny, around 90 degrees on Friday. It's been to 90 this afternoon. It's 89 currently at KVNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. You need a new battery or wiper blades? Napa will make sure you get the right size for your vehicle. They'll even help you install it. At your 5 locally owned Napas from Preston to Providence. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Join us each week for music and the spoken word featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcasting the world. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, classical, and contemporary music and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting program that will have you returning each week. Music and the spoken word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Sunday mornings at 8 and again in the afternoons at 6 on News Talk KVNU.
This Tuesday, April Davis will change the world. She doesn't know that yet. All she knows is that she went to justserve.org and volunteered an hour of her time. Browsing through dozens of service opportunities in her community, April decided to spend her Tuesday evening serving dinner to mothers and their children at a transitional house. She doesn't know she'll be serving a particular mother and daughter who will be spending their first night in this home. April doesn't know that the hot meal she'll serve is the first this mother and daughter will have had in a week, or that the simple smile she'll offer as she serves them will help them realize that things are going to be all right. Which is why this Tuesday, April Davis will change the world. See the difference you can make. Sign up for service opportunities in your community. Visit justserve.org. JustServe.org is provided as a service by The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Superintendent of Logan Schools, Frank Schofield, and Director of Communication of Logan Schools, Shana Longhurst, our guest here in the studio. Shana is also Executive Director of the Logan Schools Foundation, which you can find at loganschoolsfoundation.org. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. We're talking about the impact of this foundation, what they've done over the years since its formation in the 80s, operating as a kind of a supplemental resource aid for families, for teachers, for students, and doing so oftentimes on a shoestring budget, but still, achieving some pretty significant things. And the story we heard before the news there from Frank, of course, impacting student lives that have led to decisions, that carry throughout their lives. They do have an online store, by the way, if you want to support them that way, with some very cool stuff on there, including this. I've seen this before. We used to actually have one right there, yeah, and it got framed and made pretty on our wall, but we have the famous Light Up Your Mind print that you can buy there for $25 even. That's been hanging on our studio wall, well, for the 15, 16 years I've been here. It's an inspirational thing. So there are many ways you can support them. We'll talk about more ways you can support them and support individual schools as well. But a good way to stay up on this stuff is just keeping a tab on the events page at Logan Schools Foundation. And there you'll find information right now about their upcoming 2023 golf tournament. By the way, this is huge for the foundation, right? This raises a majority of your operating and granting expenses for the year. And it's, my understanding, gets pretty competitive out there.
It is fun. We've actually, our golf tournament for 2023 was a couple of months ago. It's at the end of the school year in May. So we're looking forward to our 2024 golf tournament. But with the support of our...
The photos from this year, by the way, are just...
they are good.
Classic.
We have a strong group that comes and supports us every year, for which we are very grateful, and hope that they have a really good time raising money for the teachers and students of our district.
That is, if you want to mark your calendars for the next one, May 10th, 2024. Have I got that
correct.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And check out these photos from 2023 because it gives you an idea of what they're talking about here. But That's just one way that you can help, being a part of that golf tournament each and every year. And again, we'll talk more in a bit about other ways you can help. But I wanted to, with you guys here, to sort of go through as much as we can the programs, because these are really uniquely designed. And it's, as Frank, as you mentioned, with the Resource Center through the school district, sometimes it's as simple as connecting a student with, an organization or sharing a phone number with a parent or connecting them with a resource that can help them. You mentioned, Shana, that, sometimes parents even just struggling with the technology, that's changed so fast. That and this is nothing to be ashamed of. If you're this parent, it's not your fault. It's literally changed that fast. But we're in a situation now where parents don't understand the technology their kids have never lived without, because it's changed that rapidly. And so sometimes it's just something like that, right? And you guys have to cover it all, find a way to cover it all. And part of the way you do that is through all of these various programs, from the art endowment to the community grants. Payroll Partners program, I just think, is a really creative way to go about this. Anyway, where would you like to start?
Two of the other programs that are near and dear to my heart is the Teacher Mini Grant program, 3 times a year. Sure. We open it up to all of our teachers to apply to receive a $500 mini grant. We give out several $1,000s 3 times a year for materials that aren't covered under regular budgetary measures.
Sure.
For more classroom books, for more manipulatives, and there's some really fun things that are able to happen in the classroom when these teachers apply for these grants. So that's one program that we do that is very rewarding. We also have the art endowment. Several years ago, when the district came across some art that was housed at Logan High School, there was a lot of discussion on what could happen with that, how it could be cleaned up, the best use for that. And through that entire process, we were able to create, and some of the sale of that art, we were able to create 2 endowments that help the art programs in Logan High School. One is to give to students so they can have more art experiences that they might not otherwise have.
Sure.
Either through grants to the teachers.
And if I understand correctly, that included kind of bringing some of the digital art in recently, right? Through this same program?
Yes.
That's very cool.
Yes.
Not a cheap thing to do, right?
No, we should clarify.
But that speaks to the success.
The collection was about 31 different pieces of art.
Right.
The district sold, I believe, 6 and used the proceeds to then restore and repair all the rest of the artwork, which is now on display in schools across throughout the district.
That's so cool.
And then to create these endowments as well.
And then get, that, and then it all comes back to the classroom, basically, is
it
what
does.
I'm hearing.
To the teachers and to the students. Yeah.
That's so
We've
cool.
been able to send students to Carnegie Hall. We've had the theater teacher at Logan High, Mr. Jared Rounds, was able to bring in a Broadway artist to do a visiting artist camp with his students, really cool. And it was really very neat.
Impressive.
So some good things happening with that endowment to promote art within the school district.
That is very cool. And that's just one of, I clicked away, I lost count here. Listen, we've covered mini grants and the art endowment. That's one of 7 different programs that run consistently throughout the year through the Schools Foundation. This is... this is people. We don't like to think that this happens in Cache Valley, which sometimes leads to resources being shorter than they should be. But there is also a basic needs assistance program run through the foundation, right, for families that you said it well, Frank. I think that just they run into a temporary situation, but it can get rough pretty quickly for these families. The kids still have to go to school. We saw this in the pandemic. We had families here in Cache Valley that ended up temporarily homeless because both parents were laid off within a week or two of each other. I mean, that rarely happens, but it was a reality for many families here in the Valley. Took them a few months to get back on their feet. They still had 2 months of school left. That's what we're talking about here, right, with the needs assistance program, that kind of scenario. As an extreme, obviously, but...
Right. And the basic needs will help students if they're coming to school without shoes, without clothing, If they come without, we obviously have our breakfast and lunch programs, but there are food pantries in both our middle school and high school to help students on the weekends. And we help support and make sure that those are fully stocked throughout the year to help out those families in need.
And that ties in a bit with the resource house as well, because Frank, you mentioned these backpacks, these kits basically that will be put together, and it's a way to make sure that the kids who are in a situation like this where there's need for assistance, they're headed to school with a backpack and everything they need. I don't know how to put this delicately, but that can be huge for especially a grade school kid to not stand out in that way.
Absolutely. The backpack program, in terms of food, is primarily at the elementary school level. We work closely with the cash food pantry to make sure that those students identified at an elementary level will have food for the weekend. Those at the middle school and high school can go to the food pantry in each of the offices to help with that. But we also partner with the Cash Humanitarian Center, and they will supply backpacks for students K through 12, chock full of amazing supplies to start the school year with. So principals will identify students who could use some extra assistance that way, and we also share those with our Family Resource Center so that students don't feel like they're lacking any of the supplies that they need to have a successful beginning of the school year. That is,
and again, this for a lot of you listening right now, for myself included, sometimes this may sound like a trivial thing, but it really isn't for kids of that age group, right? I remember. Now, this was because I had forgotten to tell my parents I needed it, and then we couldn't find one because they were sold out. But I remember being the only kid without the calculator as we got into some of those more advanced 4th and 5th grade math classes. I didn't have a calculator for several weeks, and it was horrifying to me at that age. I tried to pretend I had a calculator behind, that is what you're talking about. You're talking about doing things like that so that the kids don't stand out in that way, and it allows them to stand out in far more positive ways.
Absolutely. Helps them to feel comfortable so that they can focus on the learning that needs to take place each and every day.
That is amazing. This is, again, just a handful of the programs that we've discussed here, the classroom mini grants for teachers. We talked earlier about this, but to touch on it again, the community grants as well. This is amazing because you partner with local businesses, and if you're a local business out there and would like to inquire about partnering, please reach out to the Logan Schools Foundation. Contact information at the website, loganschoolsfoundation.org. But you partner in ways that allow for some pretty big things to be done, and then this takes what you're already doing and expands it out into the community.
It is. We love having those community partnerships. We partner with Nucor to give additional grants to teachers, and we're very grateful for that. That program has been going for decades, and we're grateful to them. We have smaller businesses throughout the valley here that will donate to programs near and dear to their heart. We work closely, and I know I'll forget some, but we work closely with Cache Valley Electric and the Logo Shop, and we are grateful to them for the thought that they give to help our students, whether it be through athletics or it be through the classroom or whether it be for those students in need. And so we are always looking for those partnerships to help ease those burdens and create more positive experiences for our students in different areas.
For individuals out there who are, looking, I joked that if you guys do a coat drive, I've got a big supply for you this coming winter, as I had to go through a storage shed recently, embarrassed at what I've kept. But are there ways that the community can help in these ways? Is there, with the backpacks, for example, if someone wants to give a financial donation to go buy notebooks for backpacks or even put the kits together themselves, do you do little organized events like that for folks that are interested?
We don't necessarily do the events, but we will coordinate with businesses who want to have those events. Right now I'm in conversation with several different groups who are putting together back to school kits, collecting donated supplies for our teachers. We've collected lists of things that teachers want, and we've shared those with those different businesses, and they're in the process of coordinating those efforts, and then we will distribute that out to teachers at the beginning of the school year.
That is LoganSchoolsFoundation.org. If someone is wanting to organize, at their business or maybe their neighborhood, they've got a location, something like that, they want to put some kits together, reach out to you and get the ball rolling on something like that.
I'd love to have those conversations.
That is, folks, step up. This is an opportunity. And again, a foundation that kind of sets an example of what can be done. This is the cynical political take on all this. Because it's easy to say things like, look, why don't we just get the money there that needs to be there for the schools? Well, here in Utah, everyone likes their taxes low, and that's going to mean that schools are always going to have these areas of need where the funding that comes in from the state and other resources and federal government as well just doesn't match every possible need. As we continue to grow as a valley, as the needs of students and teachers and the community changes, it gets more complex even, and that's where something like the Logan Schools Foundation can really step in. But again, they depend on your support, both business partnerships, individual volunteers and donations, and more. And so give them some of your time, at least to check over their programs and the history and reputation they have at LoganSchoolsFoundation.org. We'll be back with more of our guests. In the studio again, Superintendent Frank Schofield of the Logan School District and Director of Communication at the district, and also Executive Director of the Logan Schools Foundation, Shana Longhurst. And you're welcome to join us, 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
Are you a hot sleeper? Warm summer nights can make it hard to sleep. UNI Furniture recommends sleeping cooler with a gel memory foam mattress. UNI features a copper-infused gel memory foam that helps with coolness and circulation. It moves better with you, giving you the best night's sleep. UNI is also the home of Chair Heaven. There's a reason they sell so many chairs, including recliners. For over 90 years, there's always been a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
The Murdoch Summer Tour sales event is here. At Murdoch Hyundai, we're turning up the volume on savings. For those summer days with the windows down and tunes playing loud, Murdoch Hyundai has the perfect ride to make your summer unforgettable.
Right now, receive 0% for 3 years on a new Tucson or Santa Fe.
And every new Hyundai comes with America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, and owner's assurance.
When you walk through our doors, you feel like family.
At Murdoch Hyundai in Logan, Linden, Murray, and online at MurdochHyundai.com.
Call 866-628-3065 to see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 7/31/23.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Director of Communications for Logan School District and Executive Director of the Logan Schools Foundation, Shana Longhurst, as well as Superintendent of the district, Frank Schofield, our guest. Still time for a call or two if you have a question or comment, 753-5868. We spent the hour talking about the work and reputation of the Logan Schools Foundation, how you can get involved both as a business partner or as an individual, the programs they run that help students, teachers, the community, and more. And some of the success stories. LoganSchoolsFoundation.org, again, is their website. Contact information there, as well as an online store. Detail of their scholarship programs, their general programs, events, who makes up the board, everything you need to know there. And Shana, you mentioned this as we were coming back there. Worth noting as well, every dollar you were to donate through the donate button there at LoganSchoolsFoundation.org, every single dollar goes to the programs.
Every single penny.
And that, not many organizations can say that.
Yes, because we have the support of our school board and our school district. We aren't, there's not a need to take any of the donation to use for overhead expenses and things like that, which I think is really unique to our foundation. And it's nice to be able to say to donors that if you were to donate, say, $500 to a certain scholarship or to classroom mini grants, that all $500 would benefit that program. And we do our best. I would say 99.9% of the time we will honor the donor's desired program where they would like that donation to go. So everything is very much donor directed, and we are happy and thrilled to honor those requests.
And it's I think worth noting, as a lifelong member of the community here, every dollar that goes into a program like that run by an organization like Logan Schools Foundation, what you're donating to, not even figuratively, directly, what you're donating to is a kid graduating, and deciding they like school. And that child then moving on, becoming an adult as a college student and sticking with it and finishing college. That's what we're talking about here. Like these little things, as they may sound to most of us listening right now, can make that difference and be the difference between continuing your education after high school, finishing high school in the first place. People that finish high school and still today think they hate being educated or being in a classroom because of a bad experience. Turning all that around through these types of programs, right?
Absolutely. And we're happy to accept the smallest to the largest of donation and to work closely with how you would like that donation directed. We accept $50, $100 donations to help out in the classrooms and work with families as they're going through family trusts, and having the district or the foundation named in those so that long-term benefits can happen for the students of Logan City School Districts. And those, the $50 donations and those tens of thousands of dollars of donations are equally as important and appreciated. That is, and again, all of it going back to supporting the community, the students in the community, the teachers in the community, who still, I'm still saying this, and it'll probably be years before I stop, but what all of you dealt with when the pandemic began, from the students to the administrators to the teachers, superintendents, the district boards, and more, like it was this gigantic ball of unknowns, and we learned a lot of things that we'll never try again, hopefully, and we learned a lot of things that maybe we will keep trying, and the flexibility behind all of this has been amazing, but it's really fun talking about the Logan Schools Foundation specifically. It's fun to sit down and talk about what is, definitely a success story. In a perfect world, wouldn't be necessary, right? The world we'd all prefer, but it is necessary, and the work that you're doing is successful. Where do you see this, as population grows, as the schools grow, as the number of schools in the district grow, where do you see the foundation going? Or do you have time to even think about that? we would love to just enhance the programs that we do, and then as we determine needs within the students and the teachers that we serve, identifying those needs and supporting the district in making things happen. It's always a day-to-day reevaluation, and use the monies and the support that the community gives us to help benefit those kids. Sure. This is, I hated this when I was younger. Now I kind of say it and laugh, but the gap between the end of the school year and the start of the next one is not as long as it seemed when you were 10 or 11. And so y'all are just weeks away from the next school year starting. And that's a small window to get a lot of things done. But you're ready, you're up and running for this. Is it, as you head back into the school year, is there more, if you could make a direct ask right now of the community, is there more specifically that the community could do to help you do what you do through the foundation, or you, Frank, through the district, when it comes to knowing about the need in the first place? Mm-hmm. I'm trying to say it as delicately as possible. We don't want a situation where people are calling their neighbors in, like, I think this is happening. But can we help in that way? We would love any support I would love to have conversations to find out from community members or businesses what maybe they see the needs of, how they feel like they could help the students and teachers in our district. And we're happy to have those conversations. We were talking earlier in one of the breaks how it's very unique in this community because of our size, that when you make a donation to the school district, you're probably helping someone that you know. Sure. And that's not always the case when you make a donation to a charitable organization. So we're grateful for that. Going right back into your own neighbors, your own community.
And again, the impact of these donations, whether it be your time or your money or a business partnering with the foundation, you're helping kids get the most out of their education, helping teachers help them get the most out of their education. And, what comes around definitely goes around when it comes to public education.
Absolutely.
To say the least. But Frank, Shana, I really appreciate both taking the time to come down today, and we'll do it again next month.
You're very welcome. We look forward to it.
Our pleasure. Thanks to our listeners as well, and stay tuned. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
News and talk around the clock.
I listen to you all the time.
News Talk KVNU Logan, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.